Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Chill Like a Mother podcast. I am here with my very good friend, Charlie, and we are going to talk today about the myth and the narrative around being regulated all the time. And Charlie really focuses in her therapy practice on mindfulness and somatic and emotional regulation, nervous system stuff. So she is the person that we are going to talk to today and get some perspective on why it is not only unreasonable, but impossible to be regulated all the time. So, Charlie, please tell me, we were just talking about this before we hit record. Why is it completely unreasonable, especially for moms, to think that they have to be regulated all the time?
Well, it starts with the science and the biology of our bodies, in that our nervous systems retain information for 5 to 7 generations. And if we think about what life looked like for us as human beings and as parents, 5 to 7 generations ago, this is not it. We had villages that don't exist anymore for support. We spent a lot more time living in our natural surroundings. We spend a lot of time in our urban areas now. And research has actually estimated that in 1 week of living or working in an urban center, we consume roughly the same amount of stimuli through our nervous systems as our ancestors did in their entire lives. So that alone, biologically, we are not designed to consume the amount of information that we do on a daily basis.
And would you say that that is what moms or women describe as like touched out, overwhelmed, overstimulated? Is that like the words that we now use to describe what that is?
I believe partly, absolutely, because if we think about feeling touched out when somebody wants a hug or they want that physical attention and we say no more, it's not just the touch that has burned our nervous systems out there that day or that moment. It's all the other information that the body is consuming and trying to process at the same time that leads to one more piece of stimuli. So whether that's a loud bang that makes you jump out of your skin, or whether that's, the kids have got the TV on too loud and now it feels like you can literally feel the noise, or whether it is that touch, it's the body saying, I cannot actually process any more information.
Okay. So walk me through something. Okay. So you all know, mom, diagnosed ADHD. We got a whole host of neurospicy in my home. When I reached this level, and it happened just last night, there was like rapid fire conversation amongst all of the other people who couldn't stop their urges from talking over everyone. Finally, I slammed my hands on the table and I was like, enough. I need everybody to be quiet for 30 seconds. That's all I ask. 30 seconds where it is not rapid fire. Platypus. What happened at school? My husband was going fishing today. And it was just like, I can't take in any more of this information. So walk me through, if I could access it, walk me through in this moment, I am dysregulated and I have to honor that. Then how do I get to regulate it? What are like your go-to things that you would tell me if you could be in my earbud? What would you tell me to do in that moment?
Mm-hmm. I think the first thing is recognizing and identifying what it is that, and if possible, removing the shame from that. Because so many times we immediately think, oh, I wish I hadn't. Or I'm a bad person, or I'm a bad mom because they yelled at my family or I slammed my hands down. From there, shutting up as much of the stimuli as you can. For you, that was a moment of stop, enough. I can't consume any more information. 30 seconds is going to give me the opportunity to catch up, let the body catch up with all this information that's being put in front of me. And then regulation looks different for everybody in that moment, whether it is removing yourself from the environment, whether it is just taking a couple of nice deep breaths, whether that's closing the eyes. Closing the eyes is a really amazing one because we shut out all of that visual stimuli, even just for 10, 15 seconds. That can be really powerful. Honoring what it is that you need in that moment. And for you yesterday, Kayla, it sounded like silence. There was no time in between all of those conversations to figure out what you wanted to say or who you were listening to or where your attention was going. So taking that 30 seconds for yourself, you had the opportunity to figure out what comes next.
Mm-hmm.
To be more proactive with your next step instead of being reactive to the environment around you.
Yeah. And so, you know, I'm doing this live. It's like the first thing that went through my mind when you said take 3 deep breaths. There is a story in me, and I've heard it from so many of my clients that is like, are you fucking kidding me? Take a deep breath. Like,
go meditate.
No,
journal, write it down.
My body immediately was like, on one ear.
Yeah.
And on the other one, I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, seriously? It's
Yeah.
that simple?
And the reason it works, especially if we have pre-practiced, pre-rehearsed some breathing exercises, is that if we can either hold an inhale or if we can lengthen our exhale versus our inhale, is it actually creates what we call a parasympathetic response in the nervous system that kicks our nervous system out of that overdrive, that stress response immediately. It allows the mind and the body to reconnect so that we're not only being driven by our emotion. It allows the body to catch up with everything that's happening so that we can respond in a way that feels more aligned with what we want to do in that moment. So yes, taking a deep breath. I've had my clients roll eyes at me. I too have snapped at my kids and not taken the deep breath. It could look like getting a really nice cold glass of water and getting a straw and taking some really slow, mindful sips. I think a lot of the work that we talk about with nervous system regulation comes from figuring out what works for you and practicing it ahead of time so that in those moments when we really need it, it's not the first time we've ever taken that deep breath or practiced that exercise or whatever tool or whatever we want to call it in the moment. So a lot of what we do in our offices is actually in vivo learning, doing it with our clients in a moment when they're maybe in a bit more of a regulated state, so that when they are feeling dysregulated or they need it in a reactive moment, it's something that feels familiar and is safe.
And what would you say to someone? Because I mean, I'm already bought in, right? I know I need to take the deep breath. It's just you can't always access it, and it is in moments where I haven't taken the deep breaths that I probably have the most regret or moments of repair that need to happen. And so let's say someone has this narrative that they must be regulated all the time. And then that thought stops them from being able to access the tool because there's shame in the middle, right? It's like, I'm overstimulated. I need everything to stop, but I don't know how to make it stop because I feel shitty for being this kind of person and I should be able to handle it and I should be regulated because that's what all the mom influencers tell us we need to do. And then we can't access it.
The question is, how do we work through those narratives? When we see on social media people saying we want to be fully present all the time, we should always be regulated. First off, should is a shame word. So should immediately triggers a response of shame inside us. And you're right, we see it all over social media. It really fuels any perfectionist tendencies that people may already have, those underlying kind of core beliefs about ourselves. And it creates this real black and white, all or nothing. We should be this way all the time, or we should never behave this way. And first off, unless you're a robot, that's just completely unrealistic. We're human beings. We are designed to have these nervous systems that ebb and flow with our surroundings. Anxiety is good. It's necessary at certain times when it's proportionate to the situation. Disassociation is needed. It is a coping mechanism for the body when it says, I've had enough. Now, if we're disassociating in places that become dangerous, we have to kind of look at how do we work with the body and the nervous system to make sure that this person's not at risk. But if I'm about to blow my top on my kids and the other option is sitting on my toilet for 5 minutes and scrolling, yes, I'm disassociating. But if that allows me the breathing space to come back and work through my kids' big emotions as well, it's okay.
It's a good use of that tool.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that can look like a number of things. Sometimes we find ourselves zoned out or we're stared at a wall for 5 minutes. It's asking our body what we're feeling in that moment and what we need and what do we want the outcome of this situation to be.
I like that question. What do we want the outcome to be?
There's a skill that we use in DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, and the acronym is quite literally STOP.
Okay.
So the acronym STOP, the S stands for stop.
Okay.
Stop what we are doing. Stop mid-sentence. Stop mid-dishwashing. Stop mid-yell. Whatever it is we're doing, just stop. In that moment, if you can, tears, take a step back. If you can physically remove yourself from the situation, do. That's not always going to be safe, especially if you're at home with a kiddo. But if you can literally physically take a step back and create some distance between you and the situation, now you become the O and stop. You're the observer.
Okay.
You're observing your thoughts. What am I thinking right now? What are the stories I'm telling myself? What am I saying I should be doing or shouldn't be doing? You're observing your thoughts and your feelings. And a really good somatic practice is also to observe any physical sensations in the body. I can feel my heart pounding. There's a really darkness in my chest. I can feel this like green starting to resonate up, whatever that is. And then we draw a line there. We take some breaths. Maybe we sip the water. Maybe we ask a parent to step in if that's possible. And the P is proceed mindfully. That's that piece of what do I want the outcome of this situation to be, and how do I get myself there? Instead of continuing on the trajectory that I was on when maybe I was about to throw the dish across the kitchen or I was about to yell at my kid for the 5th time today. If we want the outcome of that situation to be different, we have to create space. We have to pause. We have to slow down enough to allow the body to catch up with the stimuli or the sensory information.
Thank you for sharing that tool. That is amazing. And so like almost like stupid simple, right? Like to remember, stop. And then we literally stop.
From a regulated place.
Yes.
It sounds so
simple.
in the moment. Practice.
Yeah. There was a post I saw on Instagram today about how parents prepare toddlers for stimulating environments like the grocery store, new situations, all those kinds of things. And this dad responded with, the grocery store is the Super Bowl, right? That's like, you don't practice at the Super Bowl, you perform at the Super Bowl. And so he went through this whole process about how like he practices with his kids at home, what we do, what the response to your questions might be. Like we're not getting candy, toys, Hot Wheels, whatever today, like, and practicing responding or being in the situation like that. And then his kids are then, in theory, on Instagram comment, is better able to then perform at the grocery store, which is they've already practiced hearing no to the toy. We're not getting ice cream. We're only going for bread, whatever. So that it was already a skill that they had performed.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Predictability.
Yeah.
Create safety.
Yeah.
Safety reduces anxiety. We reduce the load of energy in the body, and we are able to keep that mind-body disconnect where logic and rationale sees online. For kiddos, we talk about that upstairs part of the brain shutting down. When you say no to the new toy, that logic is gone. But if it's pre-rehearsed and pre-practiced, they can keep that logical part of the brain online and they can understand and accept the no. We're no different to overgrown toddlers.
Right.
We engage in similar practices for ourselves, and we can proactively protect ourselves from instances in the future when we may behave in a way that we don't want to. So I love that most.
Yeah.
I'd love to see an adult version of it.
Right? Yes. I think it's so, it speaks to the simplicity of essentially what you just said around practicing the breathing or practicing the stop or practicing whatever tool happens to resonate for someone, whether it's like stepping outside or closing their eyes or whatever. The practice of it helps you access it in the heat of that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I think as a parenting culture with all of the research and the information and social media, I think we've really over-complexified parenting and what it is to be attuned and connected to your kid and see what they need and see what we need and meet those needs. We've given so many labels and different ways of parenting that people feel the need to kind of define themselves as a parent and put themselves in a box. I think that also drives a lot of that perfectionism and the shame. I'm not doing it right. I'm not getting it right. And I really, truly believe that if we bring it back to the biological basics of what our littles and we need, it's not as complex as we've made it. I say we didn't do that.
We didn't do that, but
We walk within it.
Yeah. We're part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're a cog.
We're a cog in the machine, so to speak, part of the wheel.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for this conversation today,
Thank
Charlie.
you.
I really appreciate your insight on what you can do in the moment, even if it feels fluffy or frivolous or woohoo, like, oh, it's as simple as a deep breath. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for chatting.